Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. We have flown with Flair Airlines for a good number of times by now since it launched its airline carrier back in 2020. If you don't know, Flair is Canada's most budget-friendly airlines, and we've been using Flair to travel all across Canada, and whenever we're doing trips inside Canada, we use Flair Airlines. I decided to come here today and make a pros and cons video of Flair Airlines, so let's get down to it. Let's start with the pros. Number one, it is Canada's probably the most budget-friendly airlines. So if you are planning to travel within Canada, then Flair Airlines is the way to go. And they do offer a variety of destinations. So from Calgary, they offer destinations to Toronto, Montreal, Ottawa, and I think they even offer to Winnipeg, Saskatoon, and a lot of the BC areas like Victoria, Vancouver, Kelowna. So it does offer a variety of destinations where you can travel in a budget-friendly way. It is very cost-effective, so the fares are really cheap when you compare to Air Canada or even WestJet, and even the newest airlines which is released recently, which is Lynx Air. And if you compare Flair Airlines with Lynx Air, Flair is the cheapest and the best way to travel across Canada. Which brings me to number two. Flair Airlines are good for families who have kids because they do provide 2 out of 3 things to be checked in for free. That means that you can check in either a car seat and a stroller, or a car seat and a playpen, or any of these 3 things, 2 of these 3 things, which is car seat, stroller, and a playpen. You can check in any of these 2 things for free. And this is the only airlines which is a budget carrier airlines offering 2 out of 3 things to be checked in for free. If you compare Flair with Lynx, now Lynx only offers 1 of those things to be checked in for free and the other for a reduced fee. So if you are planning to check in a car seat, because in Canada you do need a car seat when you're traveling with kids, you can't use a car or a rental without a car seat, and it is mandatory to check in car seats. So you can check in only a car seat in Lynx, but you cannot check in a stroller for free. You do have to pay a reduced amount of fee, and then only they will let you check that in. So Flair wins in that part, that they do allow 2 out of 3 complimentary things for kids, and it is a big lifesaver for families with children because the parents don't have to worry about paying an extra amount of money to check in car seat and stroller. Number 3, the in-flight crew is excellent. The flight attendants are very friendly and they will go out of your way to accommodate you and your family, especially if you are flying with little children. They're gonna be very considerate about you and the kid, and they're gonna make sure to check on you a few number of times, and you really feel welcome by them. So it's really nice to fly with Flair Airlines because the airline crew, the flight attendants, are really the best that we've seen so far. It is a pro to have a good airline crew. It makes your holiday that much more exciting and you don't feel stressed at all. Now let's come about the cons part. Number 1, since it is a budget-friendly airlines, they make all their money with other fees. So if you are flying from Calgary to anywhere, like let's say Toronto or Vancouver, the fee that they're charging is only the base fare. So if you're planning to add in a carry-on, you have to pay for that. If you're planning to book your seats online, you have to pay for your seats. If you're even planning to check in at the airport, you have to pay a fee to check in at the airport. So they make their money based on all the little details, and you can only carry a personal item. That means you can only carry a backpack or a shoulder bag, and that's the only free item that you can carry on board. If you're planning to carry a carry-on, you have to pay for that. If you want to add a checked bag, you have to pay for that. So they do take money for all those things. Compared to WestJet or Air Canada, they allow you to fly with 1 personal item, so a backpack or a shoulder bag, plus a carry-on, and that is included in the fare. For Flair Airlines, they don't include the carry-on with the fare. You have to pay extra if you're planning to add a carry-on. A lot of the people don't know about this, so when they go to the airport and when they reach security, they realize they have to pay extra, and you have to pay extra at the airport as compared to online. So if you book things from before online, you pay a reduced amount of fee compared to if you do it in the airport. Now if you're planning to check in a bag at the airport or a carry-on at the airport, it's gonna cost you at least $20 to $30 more per bag compared to if you were doing it online. And the other thing I wanted to mention is they even make you pay for check-ins if you're doing it in person compared to online. If you're doing check-in person, they're gonna make you pay around $50. Compared to online, it is completely free. So these are the things that people are not aware about. So I've heard a lot of the people ask me like how to avoid all these charges, and the only thing is that you guys have to go online and do these things compared to when you're going to the airport, because anything you do in the airport, it's gonna cost you. So if you want to fly like really budget friendly wise and make it a tight budget, you have to make sure to do things online. Point number 2. Now there's this really bad thing that Flair Airlines are doing is when they are making you check in online, if you're not planning to pay for seats like I am, and you really want to travel in the most budget friendly wise as possible, since it is a budget friendly carrier, I do try my best to make it the most budget friendly as I possibly can, and I don't pay for the seats. But what Flair Airlines have started to do is when they make you check in online, and one person can check in for the whole family. So let's say if Kazi, Fawaz and I are traveling together, only one of us needs to go online and just check in for the whole family, and the boarding will be done. And what Flair Airlines have recently started to do, and they've started to do, I think from the last year, it wasn't like this before in the previous years. We've been flying with Flair Airlines since 2020, so they've started doing this recently, which is they make sure that the seats are far apart. So let's say if I check in online, and even though we are checking in as a family, they make sure that our seats are in different aisles, in different seats, which doesn't make sense at all, because I think if you're checking in as a family, you're supposed to sit together, and if I'm doing it beforehand online, then why is the system making it in different aisles, and it's trying to push you to go in person and make you pay for the seats. So recent incident happened when we were in Victoria, and I checked in online and I found out that Fawaz and I were seating together, but Kazi was not sitting with us. And it really aggravated me because we are traveling together as a family, and I don't want my husband to sit far apart from me when I did everything online. So I went to the counter and I explained it to them, and they were telling me that they can't really do anything about it because I did not pay for it online, so these things happen. And even though I was trying to explain it to them that it does not make any sense, and why should I have to pay an additional $15 or $20 for a seat when I don't want to pay for a seat and I can do everything online, they did not have any answers for me. They were trying their best to make me buy that seat, but I was super adamant and I said that I will not buy that seat because I checked in online and I don't understand the system. Why is the system having so much faults in it? And it's not my fault if your system is showing different seats. I did create a scene over there, but for good reasons, because I am traveling with a toddler and I need my husband with me. I can't have him sitting in different aisles. And in the end, the ladies at the counter told me that to talk with the flight attendants, and the flight attendants can be the only people who can really fix it. But they could have fixed it from their end, because the same thing happened when we were flying from Calgary to Victoria, and the counter people saved me and they just changed our seats and made it together. But the Victoria counter people did not want to do that, and they were being really resistant and they really wanted me to pay. But just because they were being that much resistant, I decided to not pay because it's not even my fault, and I don't want to pay extra $20, $30 per person for a seat. It just doesn't make sense. So we went to the flight attendant when we got in the plane and we explained them our situation, and of course they were really nice and they placed us together, which makes the most perfect sense, because when you're traveling with your kids or a toddler, it doesn't make sense for the family to sit separate to each other. Not only families, if you're traveling as a couple, you would want to sit with your partner. So this default in the online system just doesn't make sense, and that is one of the cons of Flair Airlines in recent times. It wasn't like this in 2020 or 2021. It started being like this in 2022, and really this year in 2023 I am hearing a lot of different horror stories where this thing has been happening, and it's really a turn off when you're flying with Flair Airlines. Number 3 of cons would be that they have recently also started to do a lot of cancelled flights. One of my friends is gonna be traveling to Vancouver soon, and she told me just last week that they have cancelled her flight unexpectedly and they didn't even let her know, and then she had to be on the phone for 6 hours. And after being on the phone for 6 hours, then she got through to them and they just changed their time to a different flight. But these are all really inconveniences before flying. What if she didn't check about the flight, or she just checked the day before? So it would have been really stressful for her to find out that she's flying somewhere and the flight has been canceled. So it just doesn't make sense. And a lot of these are anomalies of flying with Flair Airlines. So we have flown before with Flair Airlines, and I remember a week before flying they changed our time from 9:40 a.m. to 6:40 in the morning, and that time for us was just a few weeks old. He was, I think, 8 or 9 weeks old, and it was a bit inconvenient for us to fly that early. So what's the bottom line, guys? Should you be using Flair Airlines as your airline carrier to travel across Canada? I would say it depends. Now, if you're okay with narrow aisles, narrow seating, because it is a budget-friendly carrier, so the seats are not as extravagant as WestJet or Air Canada. If you are okay to take the hassles of your flight being changed and keep that in mind, or you guys may not be seated together during your flight, and being prepared mentally to deal with all these things. If you are mentally prepared to just take your personal item and pack light and not take a carry-on or not pay anything extra and really doing budget friendly like us, then yes, Flair Airlines is a great airlines to fly with. And the only reason why we are still using Flair Airlines is because it is the most affordable airlines out there. I have done a small research, and I attached 2 screenshots of Flair and Lynx Airlines. And if you see that even when flying to Vancouver with no add-ons, Flair Airlines is significantly cheaper than Lynx Air, and they do also offer 2 out of 3 things for families to be checked in for free. And that is my only reason of using Flair Airlines, because it is the most budget-friendly carrier in Canada, and traveling in Canada using WestJet and Air Canada is really expensive because the distances are really a lot. It's not like Europe where the cities or the countries are together, so if you use Ryanair then it's cheap, but for Canada it's not like that. There's a lot of distance, and Flair Airlines is your best bet in being a budget-friendly carrier and to save some money and see more of Canada. So I would suggest to only use Flair Airlines if you're prepared to take all the hassles and just plan early, make sure you do the bookings from before and just check in and see if the flights are on time, and just being prepared at the airport for you guys to not be seated together. And if you're okay with all that, then yes, go ahead with Flair Airlines. But if you don't think that it is worth the money or the time and the hassle, and you'd rather pay an extra $100 or $200 and just use WestJet or Air Canada to go to a destination, then Flair Airlines is not for you. So that was my review of Flair Airlines. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think. If you've used Flair Airlines before, let me know what you guys think, if you liked it, if you would want to fly again, and I'm really interested to read more about what you guys think. If you liked my video today, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel if you're new. Hope to see you guys in my next video real soon. Till then, bye!